we did get a mention of Satine.
We did.
So, well, you
And
had said you were talking about liking the Jude Watson novels. You were a big fan of those.
Siri
We got
got
a Siri,
Siri
Siri
Taki
Tachi,
Tashi,
right?
and yep. I like how she's coming back. She's coming
She's
back a little
canon now,
more.
right?
She's
Like,
canon.
I don't think this book canonized her. I heard that she had been canonized in a short story first.
So
But
yeah, I'm trying to remember now. Which short story was
it
she?
was, I believe it was one of the From a Certain Point of View stories was told through.
Oh, it was Mike Chen's From a Certain Point of View.
Oh,
I'll
there
bet.
you go.
Yeah.
So,
She was mentioned only in that one, but this is her actual first appearance
okay.
in a book.
And I
Um,
think I heard she's in Padawan as well.
she is. She
Okay.
is in Padawan.
All right.
So
So
yeah.
yeah, she's making a big comeback. Look at that.
Yeah. I'm a quarter half the way half my way through Padawan. So
So
working to that one.
we got that mention. We got Satine. So a couple different people who have been
Yep.
in Obi-Wan's life.
Yeah.
Uh,
Cal Kestis. We get a name drop of Cal Kestis from Jedi Fallen Order, which is awesome. He actually shows up. Not just a
yeah,
name
no
drop.
name drop,
Yeah.
but more of
No, he actually
a,
shows up, like an actual appearance. Yeah.
but it's his master that they name. I think it's just they say the redhead child next to him or something, right? I don't think they
Uh,
say Cal's name, do they?
they do. I believe they do.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe
I
it's
thought it
very
was
clearly Cal Kestis. I could have sworn they mentioned him by name,
okay.
but maybe not. Maybe I just assumed.
And Quinlan
Uh,
Voss makes an appearance. So
of course.
yeah,
That's
like
yeah. That instantly made the book a 10 out of 10 for you, right?
yeah, I was like, oh, Quinlan Voss is in this. Yeah, he has. Even if he, I don't think he had any line. I think they just noticed he was there. I don't think he speaks, but yeah, suddenly it's a good book.
Yeah. Dex. I love the Dex
Oh
and
yeah, Dex
Obi-Wan
definitely played
dynamic.
a pretty big
He
role.
did. He did.
He's a information broker,
Yeah.
which kind of fits with what we saw of him in episode two.
Yeah. And a lot of other just so many references to the games, to the Clone Wars, to like Hu Yang is there with the lightsabers, right? Going to find the crystals, to just the most obscure references. It's great.
And we
It's
did get a Ventress. Like I thought the book was over. It was getting to, toward the
yeah,
end. They kind of this they solve whatever the issue is,
yeah.
and I was like, okay, they're wrapping this book up. Pretty good book. But then they run into Asajj Ventress, as they're, as Anakin and Mill are trying
Mm-hmm.
to get off the planet, and she shows up, and then there's a whole lightsaber fight between Anakin and Asajj Ventress, which was something I didn't expect that they were going to kind of squeeze in to the very end of the book, but
Yeah.
it was kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I agree. Again, I thought the whole thing was so well written. I mean, ultimately the main thrust of the book, where the whole bombing and the investigation, it was interesting. It was cool to see Anakin try to covertly communicate with Obi-Wan, and until he arrived on planet, and the battle at the end, but in that like arena, um but that was, it was cool. It wasn't too surprising that, of course, it was Asajj Ventress in the end. Who else would it be?
Well,
Uh,
and some of that was kind of a big reveal too, because we know Asajj Ventress what she is,
right, but they
but
don't.
they don't. So when
Yeah,
she shows up against Anakin and ignites two lightsabers and has a whole full-on lightsaber battle with him, it's like, oh, there's this new player that, they already knew Dooku, had gone bad, and
yep,
they knew that she's now working for Dooku. Well, now she's basically a Sith underling. Now, she's not full-fledged Sith, but from their perspective, it's like, oh man, we got this new Sith player in the game we didn't even know was here. That's a pretty
yep.
big deal to be revealed in this book. It's a pretty major part of the story
Hmm.
of Star Wars is Asajj Ventress.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
the fact that this is her canonical first appearance is pretty cool. And I like how they framed it too, where you don't really know who she is at first. They don't name her right away. um I
Mm-hmm.
kind of, as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, that's got to be Asajj Ventress, right? That's got to be her. But they don't tell you for sure for a decent while into the book, until she, kind of introduces herself, I believe.
So
So,
I'm gonna make you think here a little
mhm.
bit. because
Uh-oh.
we have Mill, and Anakin and Asajj get into their battle, and Asajj is literally trying to take Mill. She's trying to
Yeah.
take her away. And she even says, like, oh, let me have her. I can, I can do a better training her than you can. And at first I was like, oh, evil person trying to take kid from good person. But then I thought about it and I was like, wait, fast forward, right, to the end of these characters' lives. Now, Anakin does ultimately, right before his death, turn good,
Right.
but he did a lot of really horrible things in between. Ventress, definitely not great, but I think you could say ranks lower as far as the bad things that she did versus the bad things that Anakin did, and ultimately does, in a way, turn good herself.
Yeah, she does.
Spoiler alert for other books and stuff, but also books that have come out a long time ago. But she does come to the light in the end. And so, would Mill have been better off with Ventress? Probably not, because it's not like she became Anakin's Padawan or anything.
Exactly.
But there
Yeah.
was a moment of like, we have these
Huh.
two characters that are trying to do what's
Right.
best for
And
this
they kind
girl,
of change places in many
and they
ways
do
throughout
kind
the
of
story.
switch
Yeah.
places. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I think she's obviously I do think she's best, with Anakin, at least for this book, because she might see Anakin again later, but he kind of sets her on the right direction,
mhm.
helps her feel more comfortable with the Force and that sort of thing. But ultimately that's kind of it. It's not like he's having a bad influence on her the rest of her life. Whereas
she'll
who knows
probably
what
be
might have happened.
she'll probably be disrespectful to Mace Windu the rest of her life, though.
She
Which,
probably will. She probably will.
he set the
Yeah.
stage for that. But no, yeah, it was just, I thought it was an interesting,
Yeah,
to think where these characters end up.
it is.
But I guess that in the end they both come to the light, so
Yeah.
that's all that matters.
Yeah.
But she ends up deciding not to, pursue becoming a Jedi Knight, and is still with the Jedi, but is working with like a Jedi healer
Yeah.
and going out and helping, different Jedi that are going to be injured during the war. So she found her place
She did.
in Star Wars, which was good, with
Yeah.
some help from Anakin.
Yeah. He was a good guy this time.
For now, for now,
For now.
we all know where that is the hard part about Anakin, right? Like anytime we
Right.
read these stories about him, or you watch all of Clone Wars, and you're like, oh, this guy's so cool, but then
You
we all know
know.
where he ends up and all the horrible things that he's going to do, and it's kind of hard to.
Yeah.
You almost have to separate. This is the Anakin that I like, and then there's another version of him that I absolutely do not like.
Yeah.
Two different characters in a lot
Yeah.
of ways.
Yep.
Anything else pop out in the book that you wanted to bring up before we
Oh,
wrap up?
I think those are the big things. Yeah, I really enjoyed the book. It was it was so it was very well written. I just had a really fun time. Like it wasn't, we didn't get as much time with Obi-Wan and Anakin together as I would have liked. Um and the main plot, right, is it's fine, right? It's a decent story. But it's the characterization that really makes this book so good. And
I did. I just thought of something. So
oh yeah.
I did think it was interesting, the dynamic between Anakin and Obi-Wan at this point in their relationship
Mm-hmm.
seems very almost confrontational.
Yes.
Like Anakin is the kid who needs to break away from his big brother kind of thing and have his
Yeah.
own identity. And there's a little bit of animosity at this point between them two. And he's trying to figure out his place as a knight, but Obi-Wan's trying to remember that he's not under Anakin's not under him anymore.
Yep.
And so there were multiple times in the book where Obi-Wan said, my he started to call him his Padawan, but then he's like, oh
Yeah.
wait,
It's a
my
hard
partner.
change though. Like it's you're all of a sudden realizing this. You're used to saying my young apprentice, my paddle, whatever.
Yeah, right.
And
And
you have to stop yourself and be like, wait, no, he's not under me anymore. I'm not I'm not his master.
right. So that was definitely interesting to see, because
Yeah.
a lot of what I've seen of those two characters together has been from the Clone Wars, where it is almost like they do act like brothers, and they're very, they're friends, and they act like equals and equally respect each other, and there's a lot of cool banter between them. They would do anything for each other. But in this book, it's pre-Clone Wars. It's at the very beginning of Clone Wars, and they haven't gotten there yet, and it's interesting to see them in that time period. That stuck out to me.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was Anakin getting used to his robot hand.
Yes. Oh, I also like that.
That
I
came
really
up a
did like
lot
that.
too, which is something you don't really think of. He's okay, he got a prosthetic, he got the robot arm. It happens all the time in Star Wars, and you just kind of take it for granted that that's not a real hand that he has there. And it was kind of interesting to see how he kind of saying everything was like off just a little, and
Yeah.
how he had to kind of get used to it. And I like that Mike Chen added that detail, that it wasn't just
Same.
like, okay, it's just another hand. Like, no, it definitely was different, and he was trying to get used to it.
Right. As you would, right? Even
Mm-hmm.
if anything changes, it takes you a while to get used to it. And uh so yeah, it's all those little details where I felt like he really sat down and watched the movies again, and or just inherently knew, right, all of the all of the things that were kind of needed coming out of Attack of the Clones, uh that those characters have to deal with and think about, and on all that, and kind of how they can get to where they are throughout the rest of the future stuff, the
Right.
stuff in the future. So
Well, I agree with you. I really enjoyed the book, and I thought it was a nice addition uh, to the canon, and Mike Chen is a nice addition to their lineup of writers. Hopefully, the book did well enough that they'll use him more, because I like the style. I really like.
yes.
Can't.
Oh,
I
so good.
can't. I can't say enough how much I enjoyed the shorter chapters, and focus on specific characters' point of view. I really like that style,
Yeah.
and I would love more Star Wars books like that.
Same.
All right. Well,
Oh,
I think we're good to
so
wrap up
good.
then. Thanks
Yeah.
for joining me again, William.
Oh, of course. Anytime. Thanks for having me on. I loved discussing this book with you. I thought it was, I said earlier in the show, I thought it was one of the best Star Wars books in recent memory that's been released. Even though the main plot, right, wasn't like galaxy shattering or anything, it was just really well written and great characterization. And that will trump the story almost all anytime. As
It
much as
was
I
a
love a good story, right?
it was a nice break from all High Republic all the time.
Yeah.
Uh, it was nice to get a bit of a break from High Republic books. Not that I don't
Yeah.
enjoy them, but
Oh, of course, but it's a nice change in going back to characters we know and love so much from the films. It's really nice.